Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my series review for Star Trek Picard. Now, I found it difficult to make a start writing this review. I liked the first episode. I was intrigued by the premise, by Picard as an aged character suffering with a debilitating disease that would inevitably kill him. I was curious about the connections to the Romulans, a species that I've found great interest in through past explorations of their culture and ideologies in the original series, Star Trek Nemesis, and to a certain degree with the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot film. I was fascinated by the idea that the Borg had simply abandoned a cube to be torn asunder and be used for whatever nefarious purposes that the Romulans may have, or for whatever scientific marvels the Federation could glean from them. After the Battle of Wolf 359 and Picard's rescue from the Borg, the Federation sought to advance their ships and their medical technologies. So who knows, where they could go with a full cube available to them without fear of discovery or, assimilation. But as the series went on, my fascination and my anticipation drained away to be replaced with nothing but swirling disappointment, bafflement, and, quite honestly, sheer boredom. Where did it go wrong? Surely this series should have been a surefire, majestic display of an epic character journey. Instead, what we got was an uneven, choppy tale that failed to really feel as though it had any urgency or real purpose, other than to completely undo everything that makes Star Trek great. The wonder, the hope, the full and valuable characters replaced with shoddy and lazy set pieces, bizarre, out-of-place use of language, and threadbare characters who showcased zero chemistry and even less purpose. The characters are easily the worst aspect of this show. Insipid, completely unlikable, and barren of relevance. The characters scream of a mid-series recasting of an old TV show whereby show's ratings had slipped massively, so the bigwigs at the head office would decide, we'll revamp it, we'll shake it up, we'll remove some of the cast and add in new ones to freshen it up. That's what it feels like with these characters, and rarely does that sort of scenario actually work. It feels like the characters were added simply because logistics and obstacles to do with age, time, or even desire to return was a major hurdle that was insurmountable for the majority of the original cast, and it has a detrimental effect on the show entirely. Sure, the idea was never to have the original cast back in full, according to the producers, that is, and I'll grant you that. But when your new crew feel like cheap knockoffs of legends, and when you can clearly and vividly see and imagine the old crew in their place instead, you have to wonder what the point was in the first place. If you're going to throw money at a show, as CBS and Amazon clearly have here, then surely a fairly substantial sum of money would have tickled a few more ivories of interest from the old guard. As awful as that sounds, maybe it would have worked. Who knows? Raffi, the down-on-her-luck former Starfleet officer with a grudge against Picard, should have been Riker. How interesting would it have been to see the two great characters of Riker and Picard butt heads over a disagreement made many years before, one that cost Riker his career, his marriage, and possibly his sanity. Instead, we get a thin shadow of a character whose journey of redeeming herself never amounts to anything of value. She instead yo-yos through the entire series, uttering the infuriating JL at every single point. Since when did Picard have a nickname? Even his closest friends, those that had his ear and could almost see inside his soul at times, such as Beverly Crusher, would never drop below the utterance of the name Jean-Luc. And even that was at points where he had gone too far, such as when he called Worf a coward in First Contact. Dr. Agnes Jurati is a horrifically flat character. as is Narek, the crackshot pilot who uses a vast array of holograms of himself to crew the ship. Oh, well, don't worry though, they all use different accents so that it seems more interesting and entertaining than it actually is. And to be fair, I've got little to say about these characters because I simply found them loathsome. I may even have got their names wrong. I don't really care. And they're utterly loathsome. Alongside Elnor as well. Oh, Elnor, who apparently got lost on the way to the Undying Lands with all that remains of his kin in Lord of the Rings. Elnor is simply laughable. For all the bluster of his abilities and his importance, he ends up doing absolutely nothing. And how could he? The elf lord that he is, with his sword against a galaxy built on space warfare and phasers. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The series falls away completely as it trudges through exposition, convenience and contrivance, dragging up old characters for cameos that leave them shattering the very essence of their own established lore, built up through previous shows with only Riker and Deanna Troi proving to be characters too strong to be torn apart by this lacklustre story. 7 of 9 is completely shattered as the hopeful yet pragmatic former Borg, who at the end of Voyager is finding true evolution as a born-again human being. Here, she's completely undone. She is nothing more than an angry mercenary whose reasoning is as thin as the plot itself. Where is 7 of 9? What we get in this show is not 7 of 9. There is nothing hopeful about her. It's all completely gone. And the finale, oh God, the finale. The finale is one that is thoroughly unexciting and is completely trite. A fleet of 200 plus Romulan ships face off against a fleet of probably 200 Federation ships. That is what we have waited for. Everything we have waited for. A wholesome payoff. A chance for Picard to show where his command prowess is needed most. But no. The copy and paste fleets, yes, all the ships are the same. And they cheated further by not putting any names or service numbers on the front of the ships. Something established as a Federation staple since the original series with Kirk. It's not present here at all. They just couldn't be chuffing bothered to even go the distance and add the Enterprise, get the Enterprise there involved. No, they just copy and pasted some cheap video game ships in from one of those awful mobile games that they've released, that has the indecency to use the Star Trek license, and they do nothing. The copy and paste fleets, they stare at each other and then they bugger off. Excellent writing. In amongst this garbage, the Mass Effect looking rip-off of a ship that has been a boring, uninspired resting place for these cardboard cutout characters gets severely damaged. It cannot be repaired. What a shame, it's gone. Oh well. Something has fused in the reactor and it's busted completely. But, as with much in this series, convenience prevails, and a MacGuffin they collected along the way, along their tired, predictable journey, has magical powers that needs imagination to make it work. Yes, they use imagination to fix a completely broken ship. Imagination. They imagine that they can fix it, and they do. Let that sink in. Imagination wins the day. Fantastic. It's like building Lego. I won't spoil what becomes of Picard. Much of what I have mentioned already can be gleaned within the first 2 episodes, and I've skipped massive swathes of amount of episodes because I literally cannot be bothered and gone right to the very end. But when the curtain falls, what is left behind is a thorough feeling of defeat and flaccidity from something that should have been groundbreaking and full to the brim with meaning and reverence. Yes, I'll admit, excuse me, we do get, some decent meaning. We do get some decent feeling when Data and Picard are together in his little, extra-dimensional kind of world. It's hard to describe what's going on with that. That's when it works best. The smaller character moments from characters that actually matter. This is what the series has missed. None of these other characters matter. If you put the original cast in, it works 10 times better because they hold reverence and meaning. None of it has meaning. And Star Trek Picard is a great wasted opportunity. And to quote a disgustingly universe-breaking quote from this series, a quote that symbolises everything wrong and misguided about the show as a whole, the expectation and crafting of this show highlights nothing but the sheer fucking hubris of its creators. What an awful piece of crap this show is. Awful. I wouldn't usually bother giving it a score, but I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I don't really do TV shows all that much, but I just can't get past this show at all. I just can't. I need the outlet for it. Now they're apparently doing a second series. God help us if they carry on with the characters as they are. In my opinion, they should have just let it go, but they leave the door open. They leave the door wide open for a continuation, and it's a complete contrast to the way the Next Generation ends. I remember watching the Next Generation with my nan. Not all of it, but the majority of the episodes. And the way that show ends, it leaves everything open. They go on a further journey, and you're excited by the idea that they continue on that journey. You look forward to imagining. See, that's how you use imagination properly. It's not to fix things, it's to, explore ideas. But this show doesn't do that. It doesn't leave anything open and hopeful. It ends on a massive thud. And the magical ship, which has been reborn, warps into the distance. And, gee, we can't wait for the sequel, can we? But there we go. That is Star Trek Picard. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, then okay, sorry. But these thoughts are my own, and this is what I have to do. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Bye bye.